All right, so I'm just gonna talk a little bit about how to implement some bias or how to think about biosecurity plans in a more formal and systematic way. So just keeping in mind everything that everybody already said, really how do you organize it with your veterinarian. So I'm just gonna start by reinforcing this, right? HPAI is not a foreign animal disease in cattle. So we don't trigger this crazy regulatory response. And that's a good thing for us, right? Because I really want you to get in the mindset of preparedness. I'd like everybody to leave here today thinking about, okay, let's use this as a lesson. How can I prepare for a potential FMD outbreak, right? Let's start thinking very critically about our biosecurity on farm day to day, and also how we would implement an even enhanced plan in case you ever need it. So I think let's use this as a big lesson, really. And we all kind of have heard, right, what happens if FMD eventually gets in the US? Well, there's going to be a lot of testing, a lot of quarantining herds, establishment of control zones, lots of surveillance, etc. However, after a certain period of time, we're going to have to continue doing business. So there's a lot of plans around how do you do that in a safe manner? So how do you move non-infected animals, non-contaminated products during an outbreak? And so in Ohio and other neighboring states, we have a very diverse industry, not only for dairy, but also for other commodities. We have people that show animals. We also have very, very large herds. We have also smaller producers. How do we get everybody to, kind of use the same platform and think systematically about biosecurity? Well, today I want to kind of show you a little bit how to get started on a platform that is available to everybody and that you can adapt to kind of fit your needs. So the idea is to give everybody options to increase the adoption of these measurements. So we're talking about Secure Milk Supply Program. This is a voluntary program. It's funded through USDA and collaborative effort between industry and several universities. It focuses on preparedness for a foreign animal disease, right? FMD is the big thing on this website and all the resources. However, like I said, all of these materials can be used for preparing ahead of time for endemic diseases. This is coming from their website. These are some conditions in case we do have an an FAD. We're gonna have to use permits, and a very important step from permits being given to people is to have biosecurity measures in place. So they refer a lot to this biosecurity checklist and also biosecurity performance standards. This is all online. We'll again share slides for you, so don't get too stressed with a lot of information that I'm going to present, but I just kind of want to show you where to go, right? What is a biosecurity checklist? Well, this is an example. It basically goes through 11 points, asking first, for example, do you have a manager who's in charge of implementing biosecurity if needed? Do you have it? And it kind of makes you go along with your veterinarian into like, do you have this ready right now? Do you have parts of it implemented? So is it in progress, or is this thing not in place at all? So an easy one would be a biosecurity manager, right? It's the person, contact information, who's going to be responsible for this. That's an example of an easy one, what I would think from this checklist. Another easy one would be, where is your parking area, right? And Dr. Gordon mentioned we have available resources out there that you can print. So this is going to be what I call a low-hanging fruit, right? This is something you could implement tomorrow. Probably already have a designated area. It's just a matter of putting signage on. Now, what does the secure milk supply plans, what do they encompass really? If you go to the website, it can be very overwhelming. So I just kind of wanted to break it down into two big major pieces here. This is how I see it. And I've helped with over 400 of these plans, and I think this is the best way to go. So the first one is to do a map of your facility, and I'll show you how those look like. The second one is to go through a written plan. And templates for those and instructions for those are all on this website. This is how a plan looks like, right? You're basically going to go through your facility and identify all the different pieces. A couple very important things is, for example, where is your line of separation? We're going to define that in the next slide, but this is shown here by this red line. And then you have an access point to enter that line of separation. And this triggers biosecurity that you need to implement there. So for example, just before heading there, if vehicles are coming in, you're going to need a disinfection station there, cleaning the CND station. You're also going to need other things for workers to do, like changing into farm dedicated boots and coveralls. So this is what we call this map, right? You're also going to identify where are the barns, which kind of animals are in there, where are the dry cows, lactating cows. You're also going to identify where the milk house is and how does that transfer of milk occur. So this is where we usually spend a lot of time working on this map. And these are some examples, right? So the line of separation is probably the most important thing of this. And if we think about potential transmission from dairy herds to poultry herds, this becomes your number one priority to work through this with your veterinarian. So a line of separation is basically this clear boundary that separates what's inside of the farm to what's outside of the farm, right? So think about a castle. You're trying to protect that castle as much as you can. And then the only way into the castle would be your bridges. Those are what we call here the LOS access points. So you want to minimize those numbers, right? You want to keep your castle as protected as you can. And then to cross into the castle, you're going to need to clean and disinfect. So this is the line of separation. And for us in the dairy world, we care a lot about milk because that's a very frequent activity. So a big piece is to think about whether your milk house is going to be inside or outside this line of separation, right? Do you need to clean and disinfect every time milk goes out of your facility or not? And if not, how can you make that as safe as possible? So here I have two maps. One of them, you have the milk house inside of the LOS. So that means that milk truck is going to have to clean and disinfect every time it comes in. And this other case here on the right, that's not what's happening. And this milk house is actually outside of the LOS. Just giving you a couple examples. How do you know all this, right? I showed you how many we have there, like 10 different features. How do you even know? How do you make sure you're doing it correctly? Well, there's an accompanying document to this whole mapping process that basically tells you every single thing you need to know to kind of put that in place. So how this works is you sit down with your veterinarian and you go through every single thing. So this is an example. This is how you set up your line of separation. This is a very wordy part where it tells you what to do. The next one is how to set up your LOS access points. And then what you have to have in place in those access points. An example resource that they provide is an entry log, which is also very helpful for traceability. So these are the kinds of resources that are available free for everyone in the securemilksupply.org website. So I just gave you a few examples, right? So just you have a feeling of what does encompass, but you have 11 different components to it. And this is that's the map. And this is all the written pieces. So basically here you put everything in writing and there's a lot of extra stuff than just pointing things out in the map. So this is going to detail things even more, like what are exactly things that employees are going to do as they enter the property every single day. So this is an example. We have templates available, which is really nice because then you don't have to come up with these from scratch. You can just go to the website and a lot of these are pick one, modify, delete, etc. So you can kind of go through and say, oh, this one is applicable to me. So I'm going to use that wording. I'm going to modify it a little bit and I'm going to delete the rest. So this was made to kind of help everybody go through this systematic process, in a more efficient way. So, okay, if you think this is where you want to go, if you want to think through those processes, for now, for dealing with this emerging disease or for later, in case you want to prepare better for an FAD, these are the steps. First thing, you need to have a Prem ID. I'm hoping a lot of you already have one. The second one is to engage with your veterinarian and tell them, I want to put together this map and this template for my enhanced biosecurity plan. Can you help me? Can you work with me through this? And then step 3, which this is not the order of priority, but it's traceability. And Dr. Summers may talk a little bit about that, but you should have movement records available at any point in case you have, a detection of HPAI, but also for other diseases. And with that, these are just some screenshots to get you situated. Again, this is the website. If you go there under milk producers and then biosecurity, you're going to have all the resources that I was talking about. So you have this biosecurity manuals, they're very long documents, but also pretty user-friendly. So you can see the topic and go in and read more. And you have examples as well. You have all the instructions for creating a map. And then, as Dr. Gordon mentioned, you also have these posters that you can have printed, and you have those templates that you can just basically print them off or have a computer and just kind of make your own plan from there. So with that, I'm just going to stress again that oversight is very important. You're more than welcome to go and do your own thing and, fill out all the paperwork. But I really highly recommend that you work with your veterinarian on this. We had a net prep project where we helped producers writing plans. And I will say that about half of the maps that were given to us, we were helping them review and revise the plans. About half of them had missing features or things that were not where they were supposed to go on the map. And about 81% of them, we had the map saying one thing and the written plan saying another thing. So they were conflicting and we had to work through it. So I highly recommend that you don't do this alone and have your veterinarian help you and guide you through the process. So with that, hopefully we still have about 20 minutes for questions. I will stop sharing and we'll go for questions.